All right, hopefully everybody can see my screen. Like I said, Paul Year, National Weather Service Office. This will be the briefing kind of talking about the winter weather that's going to be upcoming over the next couple of days, and particularly the Arctic front that's be coming in tomorrow afternoon on Wednesday, and then the cold air kind of lasting throughout the rest of the week, to be honest. As of anything, what we're going to be doing is kind of taking questions at the very end. There is a questions feature that you'll have on your webinar. Go ahead and type questions in that, and then what will happen is that we will go ahead and answer those toward the very end. So everybody's muted as of right now, and then with that we will continue. So stand by. Okay, so some of the key messages with this is the Arctic front will actually push into the area Wednesday afternoon and evening with the coldest air of the season so far. I will show a graphic here in a second, but we do have a winter storm watch in effect for areas of the Hill Country and portions, and then actually Hayes County, Travis, and then Williamson counties along the northern part of our area along Interstate 35. Precipitation will start ahead of the front late tomorrow. It will mainly be rain, but will then again somehow and at some point transition over to freezing rain or sleet in areas that will fall below freezing by early Thursday morning. I'll have more details about that in a second. Winter weather advisories may be needed for areas with lesser amounts of ice. I'll show that on the map as well, where we may have to be issuing those sort of advisories. So the most important stuff, ice accumulations could be as high as a 1/4 inch across portions of the Hill Country in the Austin area, lesser amounts elsewhere. As far as the cold goes with this, while it's not going to be like last February with 4 and 5 days, 6 days below freezing, we are expecting some areas of the Hill Country could be 48 hours plus, meaning 60 hours, something like that, possibly below freezing. Other areas will probably at least be 24 hours below freezing. And as we've seen in the past, those sort of amount of hours below freezing will tend to kind of start having a lot of pipe issues for people's water pipes, etc. The wind chills will be very, very impactful. Their hard freeze is going to be expected likely across our entire area. Travel will likely be impacted, especially out in the Hill Country and possibly even into the Austin area. So travel impacts possible elsewhere, including the San Antonio area. That we think right now would be probably mainly the the bridges and overpasses, all those elevated sort of roadways. But as we've seen before, all it takes is a temperature degree difference of 1 or 2 degrees before areas start to ice up. So the main impact of all of this, and a lot of the main messaging will be, we need to check the forecast frequently over the next 48 hours in particular. The confidence for the forecast remains moderate at this time. With the temperatures, very confident. The precipitation, not so much. So here's what we currently have out as far as our watches, warnings, and advisories. Just right now, we have a winter storm watch up. You can see the counties there listed. Basically, all of the Hill Country going into portions of the Western Edwards Plateau, is like we like to call it out there by Rock Springs, etc. So the big issue is, what do we do with areas that will likely kind of drop below freezing in, the northern, or at least the higher terrain of maybe these sort of counties, okay? Right now, Comal County is not under a winter storm watch, either is Bear County. But we do know that the western portions of Comal, the northwestern portions of Bear County, do get colder because of the higher terrain. So when we were talking about the winter weather advisories, that's kind of what I was referring to, is that I wouldn't be surprised if, somehow over the next 24, 48 hours, that we would have areas of, or at least the counties kind of surrounding this watch, kind of get into a winter weather advisory sort of issue. So just be on the lookout for that. Again, we're going to be updating frequently over the next 24 hours. So what you see on the map here is not the standalone what's going to be happening. We're going to be probably expanding this or changing the wording of it. And what you see right now is the watch will probably be upgraded at least to a warning or a winter weather advisory, probably sometime tomorrow. Again, the increasing threats, obviously the travel impacts, the freezing rain and sleet threat, the power outages we have still fairly low. That's a very big unknown. We're not power forecasts here, or not power forecasters here at the National Weather Service. But obviously, if you talk about a 1/4 inch of ice out into the hill country, that will start to impact power lines. So that's what we're going to have to be kind of very attuned to over the next 48 hours. This is just a sample of what one model is kind of showing. Again, use with caution. This is going to be changing, but I wanted to kind of show you both a 3 a.m. sort of time frame, a 9 a.m. on Thursday, and then a 3 p.m. Thursday. Basically showing this transition of the system primarily kind of going through and headed west to east, where we could actually still have some lingering effects across the I-35 corridor as late as mid-afternoon on Thursday. Again, this isn't going to be exactly what happens on the radar, but this is kind of what at least one of the models is showing. And most of the models are fairly consistent with it coming in sometime in the pre-dawn hours of Thursday, transitioning over to a freezing rain or sleet situation out in the hill country, and then eventually pushing east across the I-35 corridor and exiting the area by mid-afternoon. This is our best guess right now as far as ice accumulation. You can kind of see that, where we have this orange color up here across the northern hill country, including portions of Travis, Williamson County, the Austin metro area, we could see upwards of a 1/4 inch of ice. Elsewhere, trace, a glaze, maybe up to a 1/10 of an inch of ice. Again, a 1/10 of an inch of ice could actually cause quite a bit of travel issues if the temperatures continue below freezing for a certain amount of time, and especially if we get temperatures into the 20s. If it starts raining and we're hovering in that 32, 31, 30 degree mark, we may not get a lot of accumulating ice on the roads. But if we drop into the 20s, like in the hill country we're expecting, that's where we could get the significant sort of icing impacts. I also have mentioned here on the far right there in the hill country, we could start to get some of the ice impacts as early as 3 a.m. Into the hill country. Most likely it'll be a little bit later than that, probably in that 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. time frame, continuing throughout the morning, but it could start as early as 3 a.m. out in the hill country. Because of course, that's where we're expecting the coldest temperatures first, especially the temperatures that drop below freezing. So that cold air is going to be coming in on Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. By early morning, Thursday morning, we're going to be below freezing across a lot of areas. And now this is the high temperature map just for Thursday. So you can see, gosh, a large area is likely going to be remaining below freezing or right around the freezing mark, even just for a high temperature on Thursday. So again, if you have ice that falls in the morning, that ice may not go anywhere. It may stick around, especially on the roads and bridges across the higher terrain areas of our South Central Texas. With this, the cold temperatures and especially the wind, we're going to have north winds gusting maybe over 30 miles per hour on Thursday itself, and again on Friday. We'll get to that in a second. That will produce some dangerous wind chills, especially out in the hill country. Single digits, as you see here on the map, well out here, okay? And even along the I-35 corridor, the teens, probably going to be pretty widespread as far as wind chill temperatures go on Thursday itself, even after all the precipitation is probably ended and pushed away. Okay, as we get into Friday now, the cold temperatures are going to stick around. These are low temperature forecasts. You can see the lower teens out into the hill country, maybe upper teens along Interstate 35, Austin, San Antonio, and then well into the low to mid 20s elsewhere across South Central Texas. So another night of a very, very hard freeze expected. And then high temperatures again on Friday. Again, we may still be below freezing out in the hill country, maybe mid 30s, Austin, San Antonio metro area. So if there has been some ice around, hopefully by Friday we'll at least get some melting, at least in parts of the I-35 corridor, in case that actually does fall. And again, the wind chills on Friday will be very, very cold. You can see some of these, we may touch below 0 in some of these areas, especially in the morning hours, warming up a little bit in the afternoon as far as wind chills go. But it's not unheard of. We may have to start issuing some sort of wind chill advisories and even maybe wind chill warnings, depending on how strong those winds are and if these forecasted temperatures actually come to fruition. So just be aware of that as well. Those forecasted morning lows, again, this is now going to be Saturday. I have got the wrong date up here on the top, but this is going to be forecast Friday, and then even on Saturday, I believe on Friday. I may have a wrong. I'll get this graphic fixed by the time I send it out to everybody. But again, teens and then even 20s across most of the area. I believe this is for Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, Saturday morning. So again, for summary, across the hill country, up to 1/4 inch of ice expected, possibly especially on Thursday morning. The rest of the area, especially the areas bordering the actual watch itself right now, could get trace up to 1/10 of an inch. The temperatures of wind chill, very high confident on this, where the temperatures will probably be below freezing for at least 48 hours. In the hill country, hard freezes expected elsewhere. And of course, those wind chill values could approach 0 and even single digits. The travel impacts could be rather large out in the hill country, especially on Thursday. And again, a lot of that will kind of stick around possibly all the way into Friday because of the temperatures not getting above freezing. For those exposed to long periods of the wind chills and the cold, obviously, remember the 4 Ps out there. Take care of those pipes, the people, the pets, and even the plants. But we're going to be kind of doing another one of these briefings. I did a really poor job of updating my slides. This is not going to be the last briefing. We're going to do another briefing tomorrow and then again also on Thursday. But we are going to be answering questions now. So if you do have questions, put them in the chat. I will try to answer as many as I can here. So stand by. If we get ice on Thursday, will it stick around through Friday until temps get above freezing? The answer is primarily yes. You do get some issues sometimes that if the sun comes out, it does sometimes will evaporate some of the ice. But for the most part, we're not expecting very warm temperatures on Friday at all. So any ice that does fall, I would expect at this point that you should probably expect the ice to be sticking around for that. Any idea of the time this will start on Wednesday evening, afternoon? So the front is actually be coming in through the hill country probably by mid-afternoon. Now, it's not going to drop down below freezing on Wednesday afternoon, but the north winds are going to kick in, Jeff, and then it'll gradually get colder throughout the night. So the precipitation will have started probably by Wednesday evening, but again, just rain at that point. We're not expecting the frozen precipitation until probably the pre-dawn hours of Thursday morning across all of the area that is technically below freezing at that time. Let's see. From Philip, with the rain coming pre-front, are we still expecting ice in the southern regions? So as of right now, we're not calling for any ice, primarily, let's say, south of San Antonio, okay? Now, could that change? Of course it could. As you know, that the temperature forecast could be much different. Our best guess right now is that most of the ice will remain along the I-35 corridor, basically just south of Austin, maybe brush into the hill country, Comal County, and maybe northern Bexar County, but especially the hill country itself is where we're expecting most of the ice. Of course, if it does get colder, then yes, that ice could get shifted further south. We're just going to have to be aware of that. From Francisco, possibility of ice in the Schertz and Cibolo area. I'm not going to say it's still plausible. I guess I'll say that's the best way to say it. It's still plausible, more likely to your northwest. So when we get into our briefing tomorrow, hopefully we'll have a little bit better idea, more confidence in where those freezing temperatures will set up. But as you know, whenever we kind of do these winter weather events like this, those cold temperatures are a lot of them. You know, the cold temperatures pool up in certain areas of a city, so you could still get freezing. You could get ice on a bridge in one part of town and not get ice on a bridge on another part of town, just because there's a 2-degree difference, across town. So still a very high, you need to watch out, I guess is the best way to kind of say it, Francisco, especially for Schertz and Cibolo. You're right on the cusp of having probably something going on there. How much rain is expected on Wednesday in Williamson County? Obviously not as much as we just had. Our rainfall totals out ahead of the system. My bet, and somebody can correct me from our office if they're on, but I would say probably less than 1/4 inch initially just with the rain. But then again, the bigger issue is, okay, if it gets cold enough then, which it likely will be by Thursday morning, how much of that will then turn to ice? And so that's where we're still going with, maybe up to 1/4 inch of just ice itself up there in our watch area. Yes, this presentation will be sent out. I will go ahead and correct the slides that I saw, a couple of errors that I had, and I will send those out to everybody that's got invited to this. On the invite list, I will be sending out the slides and even a recording. Impact to Bastrop County. As of right now, it's limited, but again, it all depends on where those cold and those temperatures below freezing set up. We think that's going to be west of you as of right now, but something to keep an eye of, especially the forecast tomorrow, see if anything has changed. But as of right now, it looks like primarily will be okay in Bastrop. But again, can't rule out that you might even be under a winter weather advisory at some point on Thursday, just because we're getting reports of some sleet possibly, or maybe some isolated spots where it's dropped below freezing and you have some issues with some roads. So let's see. I mean, I'm just going through some of the other, let's see, with the limited evaporation from pre-parental rain, is that, let's see.
Hey, Paul, I'm going to jump in here.
Go ahead.
Real quick. So actually, the Weather Prediction Center is forecasting a little bit more than just a quarter inch in terms of rainfall ahead of any wintry precipitation. It's going to be a decently strong front. So for Williamson County there, could be as much as a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch. And for Bastrop, about a 1/4 inch to a ½ inch. And that's just purely liquid precipitation there in that tomorrow afternoon and kind of early evening to midnight-ish time frame tomorrow before we start worrying about any wintry precip at all.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you, Aaron. Let's see, should we see any additional concerns with rainfall after what we had in Bastrop have already received? Well, like Aaron said, generally less than another inch of rainfall out ahead of the system, so I wouldn't expect any sort of flooding concerns on Wednesday or anything else, even for the areas that just got those 3 and 4 to even 5 inches of rain yesterday. How much ice in Bastrop on Thursday? Yeah, Jim, as of right now, like I kind of stated for Bastrop, you're right on the cusp right now. It's going to depend on those temperatures. We're expecting most of the ice to be occurring west. The worst case scenario as of right now would be like up to a 1/10 of an inch. If in fact that would be what, if the temperatures get way below freezing in Bastrop County, right as all that stuff was still pushing through, mid-morning on Wednesday, that would be kind of your worst case scenario right now, I think. But again, we'll be updating everybody tomorrow, so just kind of be aware of that. How long are the high winds likely going to be around? All day on Thursday, and then also into Friday, we'll still have a lot of cold air, what we call advecting into the area, coming down from the north. So we're still expecting that 15 to 20 mile per hour wind speed, especially even on Friday, with some higher gusts as well. So those wind chills are going to be impactful for Thursday and on Friday itself. Okay, I think that is, let's see, where can we find a graphic on rainfall totals for tomorrow? Yeah, Christine, so we will, we'll try to maybe put something out. It kind of depends on how much we're expecting, but I will send a graphic out to you, Christine, if you're interested in how much rain is expected, especially tomorrow. Since it's not going to be a ton, we typically don't post those like on our internet page and stuff if it's not going to be significant, but we can get you something to let you know exactly how much is going to be falling. That's not a problem. Okay, everybody. So I'll be on here for a few more seconds if anybody has any further questions. If not, you're more than welcome to kind of drop off. And again, same time tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Hopefully we'll have some better timing on when things will be approaching and coming through on Thursday, as well as hopefully some better confidence on where the temperatures below freezing will set up on Thursday, which obviously will kind of affect the ice issues and how much ice may form. So with that, I'll give it another 10 seconds or so, and then we will end the webinar. Thank you again for everybody for participating. Again, I'll send out those slides and a recording here shortly. They should be probably in everybody's inbox probably within the hour. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow for another briefing.